Welcome to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are with the team from Mayflower Finance Corporation. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Great.
Awesome. We're going to dive straight into it. I want to find out about the team, the people behind it, and your story. So I'm going to throw it over to you. Give us your introduction. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Thanks for having us. My story is that I've been on Wall Street for over 25 years. I spent 18 years at a $20 billion multi-strategy hedge fund called Ramius. Ran my own hedge fund for half a decade. And today I run an investment vehicle for a family office as well as a sponsor vehicle where I partner with other sponsors like Kensington Merchant Partners, which Oliver runs. And we've teamed up to put something pretty interesting together here. Oliver, you want to?
Yeah, sure. So Oliver Weiner, my firm Kensington Merchant Partners is a financial sponsor focused on financial services. So I've been an operator and an entrepreneur in financial services for my also 25 odd year career on Wall Street. Majority of the time I spent working at what's now a global investment bank called BTIG that I started with some partners when four of us turned on the lights in the early aughts. After 19 years there building and managing different business lines. When I left, there were 700 people in 25 offices around the world. We'd brought in some impressive investors like Goldman and Blackstone to be a part of the firm and really started my journey of financial services. After being a portfolio manager for a large family office for a number of years, I launched Kensington to get back to being entrepreneurial, finding interesting things to do and building businesses again. And so Andy and I have been personal friends for our entire lives because our parents knew each other. So we've been together for a very long time. In my journey looking for interesting things to do, I was at a conference and somebody mentioned a company called Dignify and it sent me on my little networking thing that I do. And I ran around trying to find a way to get to meet some people at Dignify, mostly this guy named Niraj Mehta. And so after dialing around and knocking on Niraj's door for about 3 months, he finally took my phone call, met for a coffee, and it took me another 3 months for him to get to meet Andy with me. He wasn't sure who we were or we were serious. But when we sat down and we started talking about our ideas, I think the light bulb went off. And a lot of the things that we had thought of, the theses that Andy and I had driven, Niraj also had. And he's the operator and brains behind all of this. So, Niraj, why don't you introduce yourself and let's get into it from there.
Sure. Daniel, thanks for having us. It's great to be here with you and Andrew and Oliver. My name is Niraj Mehta. I'm the CEO right now of a company called Dignify, as Oliver mentioned. The company was founded in 2012, and the basics of the company is it was built to basically solve both for the merchant and the consumer to help get automobiles back on the road. That's the basics. I'll get more into that in a minute. But what brought me here was I spent 25 years at a combination of GE Capital and Synchrony. Synchrony is probably better known in Australia as a company called Latitude that you all may be familiar with. That's what Synchrony does, and if anyone wants to know it. My last stop at Synchrony after spending 20 plus years in different commercial and consumer finance businesses as CEOs and sort of chief commercial officers, I ended up running the payment solutions platform at Synchrony, which did about $40 billion of transaction volume a year across 10 industries at the point of sale financing. And so as I finished my career there at the end of 21, I had decided to search for something different to do, ended up meeting with a number of VC and private equity firms, landed at Dignify because one of the biggest auto finance one of the biggest platforms that payment solutions inside of Synchrony ran was on the aftermarket of auto. And that's exactly what Dignify does. We basically provide point of sale financing in the aftermarket, any needs or ambitions that a consumer may have.
Amazing. So you've all got great backgrounds. What are you doing now? Walk me. Tell me what the story is.
So, as I mentioned, Oliver and I are each running our own vehicles that are both investing in companies and sponsoring the creation of new companies. And as we have been partnering on things and looking for new opportunities, we spent well over a year looking at the specialty finance and fintech space. And what we found was that a significant amount of companies were funded following the great financial crisis due to the evolution of technology, as well as the need for new sources of financing for consumers and businesses. Those companies are now 10 years later, maybe even in some cases 15 years later, sitting in funds that are at the end of their fund life and need a new home. Many of them haven't gotten to scale, and many of them have borrowed money from private credit that's fairly expensive in the form of mezzanine financing, and they need to have their balance sheets delevered. We see a tremendous opportunity to work with Niraj, who has the operating skills, and bring companies together in a roll up strategy in the specialty finance and fintech space where we can realize real cost synergies, find multiple points of distribution for financial products to consumers in the US, and create something of real scale that has tremendous operating leverage. To just give you a sense of it, when we look at our operating and financial model for the project, just based off of the first two acquisitions, for every 10% loan growth, we see a 32% growth in operating income. So there's tremendous operating leverage in financial services, and the specialty finance and fintech space is ripe to be rolled up right now.
Amazing, amazing. So you've come together, you've seen an opportunity. There is what I feel an abundance of potential deal flow. What does the next 12 months look like? What are you looking to do? What are you looking to do? And what is the milestones?
So I would say, right now we're working on funding for acquiring Dignify. We have a pipeline that's behind that. The nearest term acquisition that's in our model is a payroll deduction lending business. It's sort of a niche thing that born out of Latin America, where you acquire the employer as your sort of distribution point. The employer offers an employee benefit loan that you're financing. That loan's attached to their payment. In the US, it's called a W-2, which is your payment stub. So every 2 weeks when they're getting paid, you're getting paid. The underwrite is really for tenure based, and you look for stable employers. So you might have heard of earned wage access. It's really a short duration loan for a couple of weeks for small dollar amounts. This loan product allows people to take something out that's quite larger. These are max 10,000 US dollar loans with a 3-year term, right? So the employment-based idea of how long is the stable employment going to be, and so we've acquired hospitals in this business instance. Through acquiring the hospital channel, you now have a very stable employer. You have attachment rates where you're offering these loans to mostly nurses and janitorial staff that really can't get credit in other ways. And so that business is, to Andy's earlier point, quite small. From an employee standpoint, not from a loan standpoint, but from an employee standpoint, it's very over-levered on its balance sheet. And so by being able to acquire that business and add it to Dignify, what we're doing is we're buying product and distribution. That key here, this is the sort of the thing that Niraj's background across 10 different industries sees, is we're taking this and we're attaching that product and distribution set, the B2B2C channel, meaning a business that's acquired, we're acquiring the business acquires the customer, and we're buying those customers quite cheaply. We don't have to go and do a lot of advertising. And through that B2B2C channel, we're then buying product and the distribution that we have and attaching it to the base of what Dignify has on finance, risk, underwriting, servicing, all of those operational functions that we're able to continually put on. So we don't have to redo all of those things. And so, Niraj will talk about this, but the pipeline of deals that we have is quite considerable. But the similarities are all there. And so that's the thesis that we all went out on, which is this idea that you can attach that product and distribution to a consolidated base. And Niraj built that already. So we're really excited about what he's seeing and the doors he opens. So Niraj, you want to talk about the pipeline a little bit beyond what we have in the payroll side as well?
Yeah, sure. So Daniel, as Oliver mentioned, and I talked a little earlier about the 10 industries. So when I originally left Synchrony, my goal was to find one of these platforms to then scale. And the theory, which still holds true, is once you are able to get the acquisition, the underwriting, and the servicing platform to work together in unison, it's basically a rinse and repeat business model across multiple industries. So, as we've done this in the auto aftermarket of auto, whether it's a need because your car is broken down or an ambition because you want to get new wheels on your car, that's the same sort of focus regarding acquiring you as a customer, underwriting you, and then service you to recover the loan. As we've built this over the last 4 years, and it has been a sort of 4 years of building infrastructure on what I call embedded finance on the acquisition side. So you're embedding the product and into the workflow of a digital channel. So, for example, an auto dealership has a digital management services system that they use. That system, you want to embed the credit product throughout it, so you offer it at all the moments that matter. If you offer it at the moments that matter, you will probably get consumers to click on a button to apply. Then the second step is you have to make a credit decision on that application. As we make that digital credit decision, we've built the infrastructure and the brains to do that in milliseconds across multiple partners. And then the third piece is once you make the loan and close on the loan, you then collect off of that consumer, which we've set up an in-house servicing platform in Dallas, Texas. And so again, the build, to Oliver's point, is across all those pieces for the aftermarket and auto. Now the plan is do it in power sports, do it in recreational vehicle, do it in marine. And so you can see the continued opportunity. And the benefit I had is I got to sit on top of a business that did it across 10 industries, where you can see the domain expertise needed for each industry, but the credit underwriting and the loan servicing is a sort of common thing you can do across the platform. It's a commodity that's been built and digitized.
So that's where the operating leverage really comes from.
Yeah. So by acquiring the employer payroll company that you've got, so let's say for example, someone needs a major service to their car and they can't afford the payment up front, they can pay it through their payroll management.
Sure. We would be able to then cross those two things, right? You change the nature of the servicing. The payroll side, a lot of that is effectively the servicing that Niraj is talking about, right? It's a way to make sure that payment's coming back, right? It's like turning on the auto pay. It's not just auto pay out of your checking account. It's literally auto pay coming from your pay stub. So when your employer pays you, in the U.S. payment is every 2 weeks, that 2-week auto pay goes on and they've withdrawn that money. So that's a servicing function, right? And so to Niraj's point, there's that top of funnel, the underwriting, and then the servicing and how you get your money back. And so that's a niche thing that we can attach to that we think is quite interesting. But we're acquiring all of these hospital workers because the United States, the hospital systems employ tens and 15,000, 25,000 employees in one go. So when you acquire a hospital system, it's not just one building. It's 3 or 4 or 5 different buildings that have massive numbers of employees. And through employment cycles, these are really stable people. So those are just two of the things that we have currently right in front of us. We've seen a nature of a number of other businesses. There's a business that makes loans to people who want to have HVAC, heating and air conditioning, or roof repairs. And so there you're acquiring the contractor who's doing the repair. They're sitting in your kitchen. They've got a little iPad tablet. They're offering you a loan to finance that roof repair. And that is how you actually acquire the customer. But we don't have to go and like Zip or some of these other Affirm or Klarna. We're not going and marketing ourselves out to all of these people. That's $500, $600, $700 in advertising and marketing we're not spending, right? The embedded parts in Niraj's technology spend is we've acquired that business that has all of these contractors. So that's something in front of us right away. We've seen a number of these businesses, to Andy's point, that are ready to go because we know who has them. Our networks, Niraj's network, Andy's network, my network combined, bring us deal flow that we think is untethered to anybody else. We don't have people out there for. We're not going to be competing with a lot of people out there for deal flow.
Perfect. So then, how much you're raising, and what's the pipeline look to acquire?
Sure. So right now we're backed by a $30 billion credit fund here in New York, which Niraj brought in as he built Dignify, and they've been financing Dignify. They're going to put up $15 million of equity to help support the transaction and contribute Dignify to Mayflower Finance as we build Mayflower Finance. We are raising $50 million on top of that will go to essentially make other acquisitions and fund loan growth. In the specialty finance business, right, you can be a victim of your own success, because as you grow more and you have more demand for your loan base, right, you need the capital to be putting out those loans. So the vast majority of the money we're raising is going to be going out the door to make new loans where there's a real return on that equity immediately. We're not using the equity to buy out owners, right, or send money out the door to private equity sponsors. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We're being handed these businesses because, as I said at the beginning of our discussion, many of them need a home. They're in funds that are at the end of their life, or they're over levered and the creditors need to do something with them. And that's part of the opportunity, which is you're really not putting up a lot of capital up front to acquire these businesses, but you're getting these great points of distribution. And then as you grow, your equity gets put to work in these yielding assets. And by the way, as I think the whole world is aware, there's tremendous demand for yielding assets as there's been tremendous growth in private credit, right? And private credit funds are competing with each other to find loans that they can pool together, that they can invest in, right? And so we become a very attractive yield generating machine for them as we grow.
And
Amazing.
Daniel, I think one of the important points to make again is I come from a background at GE. I spent 20 plus years, right? We did lots of acquisitions. And so many times when I was running a business, we'd be told we're acquiring another business. We acquire it and you do the integration. And I think when you talk about the capital we're trying to raise, the return on that capital comes very quickly through the operating synergies and the funding synergies. Growth synergies become the sort of cherry on top of this sundae. I think the opportunity that should be very clear to people in a short period is you're going to find very quickly, regardless of which platform we decide to acquire into Mayflower, those operating synergies and funding synergies can be realized quick, within a couple of years.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time because I know you're busy and the Knicks are playing, so I'll let you get back to that. But it's great to chat. Anybody who's watched this episode who wants to find out more, please reach out to my team. We can connect you through to the team at Mayflower. But I think this is a very exciting opportunity because there's a lot of money to be made here. It makes sense, and this strategy is it's coming from three experts. It's a proven strategy. So thank you very much, guys. It's great to chat to you, and look forward to seeing where you get to with this raise and what the next 12 months looks like.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Great.
Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Pleasure.